Hello, good morning. I'm making this post today to mark the fourth anniversary of the introduction of GST, Goods and Services Tax in India. It got introduced on 1st July 2017, and by 1st July 2021, almost 4 years has gone, and it's time for us to assess what has happened so far in the past 4 years. What are the hurdles it has caused in these 4 years? What are the achievements we have made in this country by introduction of GST in our country? Let me go through the story of GST in India. When I started understanding the concept of GST, it was way back in 2013 and 2014. We wrote a small booklet on GST, particularly what could be the implications of GST for Pondicherry union territory. Later, that point of time, we were not aware that GST is going to be introduced in India in a very different format. Later, it went through several discussion process on and the finance ministry introduced GST in India in 2017, and by subsuming around 17 indirect taxes central excise. Additional excise duties from the central side, and sales tax, value-added tax, entertainment tax from the state side. Altogether, it has subsumed 17 indirect taxes, and that was considered to be one of the one of the wonderful tax reform in our country, and it is true also because I know not only in India, throughout the world, I never went through such a big tax reform in the past, say, 20, 30 years. Though GST is being practiced in several major economics in the world, the way it is introduced in India was a bit different. Because we in India, we try to classify it as one India, one nation, one tax, and by unifying several indirect taxes. Whereas unlike other major economies where the tax rate used to be or a single rate of GST, or few nations had two tax slabs, something like that. But whereas in India we had 5 tax, from 0 to 5, 12, 18, 28, we had around 5 tax slabs, and there are certain commodities, certain goods and services which are still exempted from GST, like the petroleum products, crude oil, petrol, diesel, natural gas, and other things. So the way it was introduced in India, it's quite different from the way it was introduced in other countries. However, you all know that the states and union territories had its own power to tax for taxation, and for the central big powers for taxing. This is the federal structure of our country. But if you look at the GST Act, no, it has given it has moved from mere federalism to a cooperative federalism, where both the union government and the state government came together to form a particular tax system, in which tax will be collected at a single point, and later it will be distributed. I mean, though it had its own we call the central GST, CGST, state GST, SG, which is called SGST, and the IG, integrated GST, which we call IGST. The tax collection mechanism goes on it collects a tax from the taxpayers, goes to the central pool, and it gets divided to the center and to the states in a particular mechanism. Though there are several issues yet to be sorted out in terms of distributing the tax amount which is due to the states, but in these 4 years, the GST system in India had went through a remarkable progress. I would say it's a forward-moving progress, remarkable progress that has happened in our country. And in 4 years, I would say in the initial phase when we got introduced, we had from GSTR 1 to GSTR 12, we had several returns in the very first year of introduction. Immediately after integration of GST system in India, there was serious issues in the I mean the return filing system. Several hurdles were there, either from the software side or from, like say, there were a lot of cumbersome process. Though it is online, there are cumbersome process in filing the returns. Immediately they revoked the GSTR2, GSTR3, and GSTR3 was replaced by GSTR3B. That was considered to be one of the remarkable development in 2017. In 2018, I would say the major development was in terms of e-way bill, introducing e-way bill, where, like say, for the supply chain, they introduced e-way bill, which means that the consignment will be moving on with a particular way bill, which is used to track the movement of consignment from goods from one place to another place, so that the fraudulent practices is restricted to some extent. It really helped to reduce the fraudulent movement of goods from one place to another place. It's not for everyone, but there was some there was, in the sense, initial phase with the past 1-2 years. Many say fraudulent traders, they try to misuse the system, find out loopholes in the system, and make fraudulent invoices and movement of goods. Later in 2019, what I would say the major development is in the changes in which is brought into the paying the fees, I mean penalty for late filing, changes in the interest rate for filing of returns, something like that. No major changes that has happened in 2019. And exactly in 2019, there was a lot of talk about changes in the return filing system, which they called as new return system. But that didn't happen at that point of time. But serious discussions were happening at that point of time. Moving on to 2020, which I would say, because I was monitoring the GST system in India even before it was introduced in our country, close to by this time it is around 78 years. I was monitoring the developments in the GST system in our country. I mean the way it got evolved, it got introduced. I would say the major reform in these 4 years, it has happened in 2020. In 2020, the development which I personally feel breakthrough development in the GST system is the introduction of e-invoicing system. Before going into the e-invoicing system, let me tell you what made the GST Council or the GST administration, for that matter, to think about introducing e-invoice system. You see, what happened is that even as a consumer, for that matter, I use many times I was discussing this. I used to go, or it might have happened for many of you, for that matter. We go buy a particular commodity, goods, or for example, we consume some sort of service, for that matter. Definitely a trader used to give an invoice. In that particular invoice, it is a physical invoice. It's a paper-based invoice, which will have all information about the goods or service which we consume. But what happens is that, including the GST, they would have collected the GST from us. For example, 28% he has collected GST from the consumer. But what is the assurance that the GST amount that is collected by creating a physical invoice is passed on to the government or to the GST department, for that matter? What is the assurance? That was always a question, and using that physical invoicing mechanism, okay, and by that time good awareness was created in our country, and everyone was ready to pay GST. Whatever tax slab, people there was always some sort of negative theories going on, to do away with GST. Still that is there, but it is not going to happen, and we are moving forward. But utilizing the awareness among consumers who are coming forward to pay the GST amount, whatever tax rate it may be for a particular code. But what happens is that traders started collecting the GST, and which many a times, I'm not talking about everyone, but some fraudulent traders, that was not passed on to the tax system of our country. It was a major blow to the GST system, because it was, they were trying to manipulate the system and misuse the system. I was always wondering why there should not be a billing system, invoicing system, online invoicing system, which will get connected with the GST network, which we call GSTN, so that there is an seamless tracking of the invoices. But thank God it was introduced in 2020, somewhere in October. Look, first when it was introduced, it was for GST, those who got GST registered entities, which you got 500 crores or above. But after it got introduced, there was a remarkable increase in the total tax collected through GST. It started surpassing, say, somewhere around from first 3 years. They were struggling to collect the GST. There were some fixed targets and there were some expectations which the system could not meet. But after introduction of e-invoicing system, which means an online invoicing system with coming with a QR code and a barcode system, and once you read the barcode, we can able to understand where the invoice was created, what is the invoice value, what is the invoice number, what is the goods or services which is involved in the invoice, and where all it moved. Okay, it was an excellent system, and it got reflected in the amount of GST amount collected in our country. Slowly 85,000 crore per month, say 95,000 crore per month, and very happy development is that our GST collection surpassed 1 lakh crore per month, and it is sustaining and it is increasing. You know what is the reason for this? That's why I personally term this particular introduction of e-invoicing is a major remarkable development in the GST system in our country, because it really helped in curbing fraudulent transactions, fraudulent invoices, creating physical invoices for the purpose of siphoning away input tax credit in a fraudulent manner. It happened. A lot of case studies were there. A lot of court cases. Criminal proceedings against traders were there in this country, but it got reduced substantially. But I would not say we got rid of that such fraudulent invoicing practices because of introduction of e-invoice, but it has come down drastically, resulting in increased GST collection in our country. So, it got introduced in, as I said, in October 2020. By January, that threshold limit of rupees 500 crores was reduced to rupees 100 crores, which means every entity, GST registered entity, which has got 100 crores of about turnover, or brought into the e-invoicing system. And later in April, very recently, just 2-3 months back, the threshold limit was brought down further to rupees 50 crore, which means entities with 50 crore above transactions are supposed to make come into the e-invoicing system. So this is a very remarkable development. I wish that this threshold limit of 50 crore is further reduced to, I would say, in my opinion, any entity with 10 crore or above transaction in our country has to be brought in compulsory, mandatory e-invoicing system in the future. And this is definitely it's going to happen, because the e-invoicing system, just think over, it got introduced during pandemic period, COVID pandemic period. No country in the world has dared enough to introduce such a would have dared enough to introduce such a remarkable change in the system when the pandemic was there. But we introduced, because we were firm in digitalizing, we were very firm in taking forward the GST system in our country, and we were successful also. That's why I wanted to make I wanted to give my opinion that there are a lot of issues still yet to be resolved in the GST system in our country. For example, the composition of GST Council, the number of amendments which has come, hundreds and hundreds of amendments which has come into the GST rules and regulations so far. I would say the changes in the tax rate, revision in the tax rate, interest rates, all these things has happened in our country, which is a serious setback to the system. But whatever it is, the system is moving forward. There is no element, no question of revoking GST in our country, and we are almost we are set in, and we are going to progress in with the great transformation that has happened into the indirect tax system in our country, which we call as the goods and services tax. I personally wish India would emerge as Indian GST model would emerge as a role model for the global GST framework in the near future by bringing down the tax slabs, which is a bit confusing and creating a lot of confusion. Still, it is bit. It's not really just confusion. A lot of revision requires in our tax slab that we practicing as of now. Maybe a two slab tax structure, in my personal opinion. In doing away with 5, 12, 18, 28, those things, we can go for personal opinion. But I have made some calculations also. Could be of 8 and 16 two tax tax rates would be fine in this country, so that by scrapping the people continuously who are accusing that we have 28%, which is never practiced in other countries. I would say, because as of now many goods and services fall under the category of 18%. So in that range, we would make it something like 16 and 8, two tax slabs, two structures, which could be it doesn't mean that it's only advisory and suggesting in nature. We would reduce our tax slabs, and we could make revolutionary changes in the GST, the council, its voting structure. A few modifications in the the new return filing systems. We can definitely end up with a very fantastic GST model in the entire world. Thank you for listening to this presentation on the history of GST, the story of GST for the past 4 years. I guess it will be very useful for my students as well as the other stakeholders. Thank you so much.